Here we are sitting in your new 2020 Subaru Forester Touring. This video we're going to go over a couple of things that are different from your 2018. A lot of the features you're going to be familiar with, but as you can see, a little bit of a different look here. So, new to our 2020, you're going to see the buttons and layout is all going to be a little bit different. Most of the features are going to be familiar. I'm going to start you out over on this bank of buttons. As far as opening and shutting the rear hatch, the memory setting for that rear hatch, and the steering responsive headlights, that all should look the same. On the bottom row of buttons, we're going to see some new ones. So vehicle dynamics control, that's your traction stability, that's going to be the same as before, as is the blind spot detection right in there. Now they have moved the blind spot detection from the mirror onto the mirror housing, so they made it a little bit easier to see. These two buttons are brand new for you. So this one here with the A with a circle around it, that is for the auto start stop feature. So this car, when it comes to a complete stop, as long as the engine's up to temperature and your defrosters aren't on, there's a number of criteria that won't allow this to happen, but under normal operating conditions, the engine will shut off when you come to a complete stop. This is to save fuel as well as lower emissions when the car would otherwise be idling. And then as soon as you take your foot off the brake pedal, the engine starts right back up again. So there is that button that would turn that feature off. That is something that would then, every time you start the car, would auto default to on. So if we see this icon here, the A with a circle around it in white, that means that feature is on. If we were to press that button, we see that it turns orange. That means that feature is off. While we see the white line through that logo, that's going to tell you that the engine isn't going to shut off. So in this instance, it's because we are in park, and also my seatbelt is off as we are in park. No need for the seatbelt. Both of those things are going to disallow the engine to shut off when you come to a complete stop. Other things, the engine does need to be up to temperature. The air conditioner can't be working hard to maintain temperature inside the car. Defrosters would have to be off, those sorts of things. So it's not always going to shut the engine off at a stop, but if the conditions are right, it will stop. That will save you some fuel. The other thing to note here is this button on the bottom right, and that is for your driver focus. And again, you're going to see that green icon there telling you that that feature is on. If I were to press that button, it turns orange, letting you know that it is off. With that feature on, we see this black area here. There's actually an infrared camera built into that is watching the driver's face. So if your eyes start to wander off the road, or if you're getting drowsy and your eyes are starting to shut, the car will actually alert you, tell you to keep your eyes on the road. So it is to mitigate any distracted driver situations. Another side benefit of that is that you can actually teach it your face, and it'll learn up to 5 different faces, so that when you hop in the car, it will automatically adjust your seat and your mirrors to your preferred position. And it will address you by name up on your welcome screen and give you your preferred settings. While we're looking at the steering wheel, everything should look about the same. The audio controls on the left spoke of the steering wheel going to look a little bit different in the 2018, but all the same basic functions are going to be there. These buttons here around the 7 o'clock position, that's going to change the information that we see on the screen between the speedometer and tach. And then you do have your heated steering wheel right down there at around the 4 o'clock position. Your adaptive cruise control button's going to look, again, slightly different, but everything is going to work very similar. So you see that gray car that represents you, and then you can adjust your follow distance represented by the hash marks on that screen as well. Something new for 2020 here is that your lane keep assist is now lane centering technology. So when the car is in the adaptive cruise control mode and you press that button, you're going to see the steering wheel show up, and now the car will actively steer itself into the center of the lane. It is not autopilot. Of course, your hands still need to be on the steering wheel, but that will aid you in keeping the car in the center of the lane, watching the lines painted on the road, something that can come in handy on long highway trips. So we can turn those features off there. You also see new on 2020 is the sport mode and the intelligent mode. By default, the car is in intelligent mode, and we can see that by that I that's to the right of the P for park. That's telling you that the car is in the most fuel efficient mode there. If you needed a little bit of extra oomph, you can put it in sport mode, and we see that that I changes to an S, and it shows you that acceleration curve has been changed to give you a little bit of extra power if you needed that. Moving over across to our different screens here, you see that top screen, no longer is there a paddle underneath it to adjust what screens are being displayed there, but rather on the left spoke of the steering wheel, you see an info button. When you press the info button, that's what is going to scroll through your screens that you see on the top there. And on that screen, in the top left, you're going to see the time. On the top right, you're going to see the outside temperature. And then in the middle, that's where your climate control information is going to be displayed. That climate control is then controlled by these buttons down here. The one on the left is going to operate your driver's side temperature. The one on the right is going to operate your passenger side temperature. And then the one in the middle is going to adjust your fan speed. As you change those settings, you will see up on that top screen, it will display exactly where you have that set. And then, of course, the button labeled mode will change where the air is coming from, and you can see that indicated by that stick figure there as well. And that is this mode button that we see on the bottom controls there. Also, your hazard lights have been moved as well. The most noticeable change when you sit down in the car is that the layout of this screen is a little bit different. However, all of the same functionality is there when you click on your radio. Going to work in very much the same manner as it did in the 2018. Just now your radio stations are across the bottom, and you do have up to 18 of those that you can set. And you see FM, AM, XM down the side. If you wanted to program in a station, you just tune to that station, you press and hold until you hear a beep, and that will program that in at whatever number that you wish. You'll also see that you do have physical buttons down here to get you to your different screens on your radio. You can also touch the icons that are on the screen. As far as the phone, going to work, again, very similar to what it did in the 2018. Apps, something new here is that we now support Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so if you are plugged in through the USB ports, which are located right underneath your climate controls, that will allow you to then mirror several apps from your smartphone, and that will be displayed right up on here. Using Apple's software or using Google's Android software, everything will be right up front and center. Google Maps, Waze, Spotify, iTunes, you name it, it will be right up on that screen. Couple of other changes, slightly different location for your heated seats. Your emergency brake is now an electronic parking brake, so there's no more lever mechanical brake there. All you have to do is put your foot on the brake pedal and lift up on that switch, and that activates your parking brake. To disengage, it will actually automatically disengage as long as your seatbelt's on and the car is in gear as soon as you touch the gas pedal. However, if you put your foot on the brake pedal and push down, you can manually disengage the parking brake that way. AVH, if you press the AVH button, you're going to see on your dashboard a little green AVH logo there. This will let you know that anytime you come to a complete stop, once you take your foot off the brake pedal, the car is not going to go anywhere. It'll actually stay put. Whether you're on a hill or on a level, car will not go until you hit the gas pedal. And that is working with the parking brake. And if that is off, you'll see those green lights go off. X mode is slightly different than what we had before. I used to just have one mode for X mode, and that is actually going to be the same exact thing as if you were to twist it over to the left. Don't know if you've used your X mode in the past, but that's going to give you extra traction and stability in low traction scenarios. Snow and dirt, just going to monitor the wheel spin. It will work at speeds under 18 miles an hour. Deep snow and deep mud, this is going to turn off the traction control, going to do the same sort of assistance as regular X mode, but it won't have your traction control. And you do see that displayed up on your center screen, letting you know if you're in snow or dirt, deep snow and deep mud. Settings right there, and you push it to go back to normal. That will also work as a hill descent control, keeping you below 12 miles an hour when going down a hill. So does give you extra traction, trying to keep you on your intended course in low traction situations. But just quick run through of some things that have changed from the 2018 to the 2020. But of course, if you do have any other questions, you can always contact us here at Spangler Subaru.